everyone. Today I'm gonna teach you complex numbers. Complex numbers. Complex number is equal to real part plus imaginary part. If we denote complex number to be z is equal to a plus bi, where z is a complex number, a is the real part, bi imaginary part, where I is equal to square root of -1. We can talk about addition of complex numbers. Addition of complex numbers. If z1 is equal to a plus bi and z2 is equal to c plus di, then z1 plus z2 is equal to a plus bi plus c plus di. In adding these two, you just add the real parts together and imaginary parts together. Therefore, the a is real, c is also real. Just combine real parts together. b, I, d, I are real parts. Therefore, you combine them together. Finally, we shall have z1 plus z2 equaling to a plus c, because a and c are real parts, and b plus d combined together because they all form imaginary parts. Example: if z1 is equal to 2 plus 4i, z2 is equal to 3 plus 5a, then the z1 plus z2 would be equal to 2 plus 4i for z1 plus 3 plus 5i for z2, and therefore we have to combine the real parts together and imaginary parts together. 2 plus 3, 3 are real parts, therefore we add them together. 2 plus 3, 4i, 5i are imaginary parts, therefore you combine them together, and finally we shall have 5 plus 9i, 5 being the real part, 9i being the imaginary part. Let's talk about subtraction of complex numbers. Subtraction of complex numbers. Given z1 equaling to x1 plus y1i, z2 equaling to x2 plus y2i, then z1 minus z2 will be equal to x plus yi, y1i minus x2 plus y2i, and therefore we shall have to subtract the reals together and the imaginaries together, and we shall have x1 minus x2. x1 is real, x2 is real, and therefore we shall have x1 minus x2 plus the y1i minus y2i, and finally we shall have y1 minus y2 I factorized out. An example can be this. An example of subtraction can be this. If z is equal to minus 3 plus 4i, z2 is equal to minus 1 minus I. Then z1 minus z2 will be equal to minus 3 plus 4i for z1 minus brackets z2, which is minus 1 minus I, and this will be equal to minus 3 plus 4i plus negative times the negative positive plus 1, then negative times the negative I plus I. Then finally we shall have combined the imaginaries together and real together, minus 3, then plus 1 real, therefore we shall have minus 2. 4i plus I, or our imaginary parts, shall have 5i. Finally, we shall have z1 minus z2 equaling to negative 2 plus 5i. Here the real part is negative 2, imaginary part is 5i. Another example can be if z2 minus z2. Now, if we consider z2 minus z1 to be the negative 1 minus I for this z2, then minus negative 3 plus 4i for z1, and we shall combine the real parts and together, imaginary parts also together. Then finally we shall have negative 1 minus I, negative times the negative here, positive plus 3, negative times the positive minus here, minus 4i. Therefore, combine real together, imaginary together, negative 1 plus 3 gives us 2, negative I minus 4i gives us 5i. Finally, z2 minus z1 gives us 2 minus 5i. Thank you for listening. We'll meet in the next lesson.